The room was filled with laughter, crystal glasses clinking, and the soft glow of chandeliers reflecting off polished marble floors. But in the corner, something unexpected was about to happen, something so simple yet so powerful that nearly 200 people would fall silent, their hearts gripped by a moment they would never forget. No one knew that a quiet request from a teenage boy, standing nervously by a grand piano, would turn an ordinary evening into a story of kindness that would echo far beyond those walls. And what happened next wasn't planned, wasn't rehearsed. It was real, raw, and unforgettable. If stories like this touch your heart, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share your thoughts in the comments below, because here at Kindness Lights, we believe even the smallest act of kindness can brighten someone's entire world. The evening had been planned for weeks, a formal charity gala in a grand ballroom somewhere in the United States, filled with elegantly dressed guests, donors, and community leaders. Everything was perfect, from the carefully arranged floral centerpieces to the soft piano music drifting through the air, played earlier by hired professionals. But now, the music had stopped, and the atmosphere was shifting as a young boy, no older than 16, stood quietly beside the piano, his hands slightly trembling, his eyes scanning the crowd as if searching for courage. His name was Ethan, and he wasn't supposed to be the center of attention that night. He had come as a guest, accompanying his aunt who worked with the charity. He wore a simple jacket, slightly worn, nothing like the tuxedos surrounding him, and yet there was something about him, something honest, something real, that made a few people nearby pause and notice. Standing just a few feet away was a woman in a striking red dress, confident and expressive, known among the guests for her bold personality and commanding presence. She had been entertaining conversations all evening, laughing loudly, her voice cutting through the hum of the room. When she noticed Ethan lingering by the piano, she smiled, curious but amused, and jokingly called out, "Are you going to play something for us, or just stand there all night?" The crowd nearby chuckled, assuming it was harmless teasing, but Ethan's face tightened slightly. He hesitated, then looked at her with a quiet seriousness that caught her off guard. "I can play," he said softly, "but, would you sing?" The laughter faded almost instantly, replaced by a ripple of surprise. The woman blinked, clearly not expecting to be challenged, especially by a teenager. "Me?" she asked, raising an eyebrow, half amused, half defensive. Ethan nodded gently, his voice steady now. "Just one song, before I leave." Something in his tone changed the energy of the room. It wasn't a dare, it wasn't a joke, it was a request, sincere and vulnerable. People began to turn, conversations slowing, attention shifting toward the unlikely pair. The woman hesitated, her confident posture faltering for the first time that evening. She glanced around, feeling the weight of curious eyes, and for a moment, it seemed like she might laugh it off and walk away. But then she looked back at Ethan, and something in his expression, hope, maybe, or quiet determination, made her pause. "Why me?" she asked, softer now. Ethan took a small breath, then answered, "Because, my mom used to sing that song, and you remind me of her." The room went still, no one moved, no one spoke. The woman's expression changed instantly, her playful confidence melting into something deeper, something fragile. "What song?" she whispered. "Amazing Grace," Ethan replied, his voice barely above a whisper. A few people in the crowd exchanged glances, some already feeling the emotional weight building in the air. The woman swallowed, her eyes glistening now, and for the first time that evening, she seemed unsure of herself. But then, slowly, she nodded. Ethan sat down at the piano, his fingers hovering over the keys. The room fell into complete silence as he began to play, the first notes soft and trembling, like a heartbeat finding its rhythm. When the woman started to sing, her voice wasn't perfect, wasn't polished like a professional's, but it was real, filled with emotion, each word carrying a depth that reached every corner of the room. "Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound." Her voice wavered at first, then grew stronger, guided by something deeper than performance. People who had been chatting moments ago now stood frozen, their eyes fixed on the scene unfolding before them. Some clasped their hands. Others wiped away quiet tears. The chandeliers above seemed to fade into the background as the music took over, wrapping everyone in a shared moment of vulnerability and connection. As the song continued, Ethan's playing grew more confident, his fingers moving with purpose, his eyes occasionally lifting to meet the woman's, as if thanking her without words. She, in turn, sang with everything she had, her voice breaking at times but never stopping, pouring out emotion that felt both personal and universal. By the final verse, there wasn't a dry eye in the room. Even the most composed guests stood quietly, their faces softened, their hearts open in a way they hadn't expected. When they walked into the gala that night, when the last note faded, there was no immediate applause, just silence, deep and powerful. It was the kind of silence that speaks louder than any sound, the kind that holds meaning, respect, and emotion all at once. Then, slowly, someone began to clap, and within seconds, the entire room erupted into applause, not just for the performance, but for the moment, for the courage, the vulnerability, and the kindness that had brought them all together. The woman stepped back, tears streaming down her face, and looked at Ethan. "Thank you," she said, her voice trembling. Ethan smiled softly, standing up from the piano. "No, thank you," he replied. Later, as people gathered around, some asked Ethan why he had made that request. He simply said, "She reminded me of my mom, and I just wanted to hear that song one more time the way she used to sing it." In that moment, it